What happens when a private investigator gets burned while on surveillance? What does the subject being surveilled do? And what does the private investigator do? Let's jump in and take a quick look at some scenarios and how they have played out in some actual cases I have had. Welcome to the PI Guide channel, tips, tricks, and advice for professional private investigators. My name is John Morris. I am a licensed professional private investigator. A big question I have been asked many times is regarding the billing process for a PI on cases where they get burned. Do you get to still charge for your time? Do you get to charge for a part of your time? Or do you just have to take the loss and make nothing on the case? We will discuss that in just a few moments, but let's first look and see what happens at the moment in the field when the target suddenly realizes you are watching them. One of my favorite cases of all time, well, looking at it in hindsight anyway, it's one of my favorites. I got burned after nearly 10 days of surveillance on a workers' comp case. Surveillance was established in a very rural area, many miles from civilization, and let me tell you folks, rural cases can be some of the hardest cases you will ever have to work on when it comes to surveillance. Our target in this case claimed she had sustained work-related injuries, making it impossible for her to work due to extensive injuries to her right leg. Besides not being able to lift anything over a few pounds, she also claimed she couldn't walk for long periods of time, couldn't stand for long periods of time, and couldn't even sit for long periods of time. I spent 10 days on surveillance on this case. That's right, 10 days over about a 3 or 4 week period. And during that course of time, man, I got tons of video of the subject. My video include her walking great distances, standing for long periods of time, and working. Yes, you heard that right. She was working for a competitor of her employer whom she had a workers' comp claim against. And getting all of that video was no easy feat, to be sure. I had to follow her on mobile surveillance for over 300 miles. I had followed her into stores, into office buildings, and into other businesses on foot surveillance about a half a dozen times too. And I was so proud of myself. I had over 5 hours of video of her, and she never took notice of me until that very last day. On day 10, as I followed her from her new job back to her house, she suddenly pulled into a gas station. Now, this may not seem like much, but she had never stopped anywhere on the way home before. And when she pulled into the parking lot, she did it quickly without using her turn signal. And she always used her turn signals. At first, it startled me, but then I just figured, well, it's a Friday night. Maybe we're going on a road trip somewhere. But then I noticed something very peculiar. She pulled up to a gas pump, quickly got out of her car, and started walking into the store, looking straight in my general direction. I had slowed down a bit, but I hadn't pulled into the gas station yet, so I just went right on by. I found a location down the street a little ways where I could watch the exit for the gas station, and I sat there and I waited. After about 15 minutes, I see her vehicle pulling out of the gas station and heading right towards me. Now I'm getting really nervous. I am in what is called a choke point, where the target has to go right past the investigator. Since this was my final day on the assignment, and considering how much surveillance I had already conducted on this case, and the fact of the erratic behavior she displayed when pulling into the gas station, I decided not to push my luck. I just hunkered down in my car and was waiting for her to drive past me so I could follow at a distance. But when she passed me, she was driving extremely slow and staring straight at me. Now, I know she couldn't see me inside the car due to the tinting on my windows, but man, I felt like she was staring directly at me. Then, after she passed me, she gunned it, and off she went. And I just let her go. I wasn't going to follow her anymore. I knew I had the video and evidence that I needed, and I knew there was a good chance she was suspicious. And in those instances, I never want to make the subject fearful in any way, so I just let her go. After about 5 or 10 minutes, I decided to slowly head over to the residence in hopes of getting a video shot of her vehicle at the residence to finish out my case. And when I got there, her vehicle was there sitting in the driveway. Yep, there sat her vehicle, and there sat her husband's pickup truck. And there sat the subject and her husband on the tailgate of that pickup truck, looking down the road straight at me. And to top it all off, she was sitting there holding a camera pointing right at me. Now, being a rural location, I noticed this a good quarter of a mile away. So I was able to pull into a long driveway of a neighboring house. I was fairly familiar with this area, and I knew that that driveway curved towards the house, which couldn't be seen from the road. So I drove up to that house. Then I made a slow turnaround like I was lost, just in case those folks noticed me driving down their driveway. Then I headed back to the road. As I approached the road, I could see my subject and her husband still sitting there staring at me with the camera in hand. I just slowly left in the opposite direction of the subject's house and drove away, watching in my mirrors, hoping and praying they would not try to follow me. And much to my surprise, they did not try to follow me, and I was okay with that. But not all cases where you get burned are like that. I had another difficult situation on a workers' comp case that didn't last nearly as long. This one was a male subject in a smaller town with lower back injuries. I was out on my first day, and within the first hour, I observed activity of my target. This is a dream come true many times, as you don't have to sit around and wait for hours upon hours hoping something happens and hoping no one takes notice of you. The subject walked out of his house. He walked right to the car parked on the street, and then he took off. In this case, I was in the opposite direction in which he left, so it was much more ideal. After he headed around a corner a few blocks away, I engaged in mobile surveillance and was just hoping I would get lucky enough to catch up to him. When I hit the main road, I looked to my left, and then I looked to my right, and then I saw him pulling into a gas station. I am like, oh yeah, no problem. I set up quickly and I got video as my subject fueled up his vehicle, then went into the gas station, got a pack of smokes, and then off we went. I followed him about 20 minutes into another small town where he pulled into a parking lot of a manufacturing plant, and I am like, okay, looks like he must be working here. As I was trying to find a location to set up to get video and watch the parking lot, I suddenly see the subject's car exiting the parking lot and heading right toward me. Now I am in a pickle, to be sure. I am at a choke point. He is heading toward me. I am still driving, so I just decided to keep driving right past him and see what he does. As he passes me, he smiles, he waves, then he flips me the bird, then he suddenly flips a U, gets in right behind me, and pulls up his cell phone to get video of me. Yep, now I am the one being surveilled. He just went into counter surveillance mode. I am like, what the heck do I do now? What I decided to do was just relax, drive slowly like I know what I am doing, and head out of town like I am just another Joe Schmo heading off to work. Did it work? Well, I don't know for sure, but I do know after I got about 5 miles out of town, he slowed down and got off my tail, then went another mile or two, then flipped a U and went back in the opposite direction. Me? Well, I went home, folks. I called it a day and I let the client know that I was compromised and I would have to pull off the case. That leads us to the big question. If you get burned, do you charge the client for the full day, part of the day, or none of the day? And the answer to this question is quite simple. It all depends, folks. I know, I say that a lot. But in the legal industry, there are a lot of what-ifs involved in just about everything. In the first case, I worked all but a couple final hours of that day. It was an insurance case, so I could bill for all the hours worked, but not those last couple of hours as I pulled off the case. And this is standard protocol for most insurance jobs like that. In the second case, well, on that one, I billed for my travel time and mileage to and from the case and for 4 hours surveillance time, even though I only worked about 1 hour of actual surveillance. With most insurance jobs, you get paid a minimum of 4 hours on each case, but not all, to be sure, pay for travel time and mileage. The bottom line is that it depends on the agreement you have with the client. In most cases, I strictly follow what is outlined in my contract, which states that there is a 6-hour minimum. My contract also states in the event of an emergency or rush case, we charge for the full scheduled workday no matter what happens. And I'm going to leave a link down below for my book, Contracts for Private Investigators, The Secrets No One Else Will Tell You, which goes into great detail about what you need to have in your contract. And it even walks you through the process of writing your very own PI contract, and it has contract samples that you can use as well. And if you would just like some quick down and dirty details about the things that your contract should have in it, then check out this video that I made right here just for you.